All right, questions for Coach?
Any similarities between, I guess, the skill set of the guy you guys saw last time around and you're going to be facing on Friday with Malik Cunningham?
I think Malik's done it for a long period of time in a dynamic way in this league. I think he's got everybody's respect around the country. He plays every week. He's the leading rusher. He is a dynamic playmaker. He's beat people over the top of the football. He's beat people running the football. He's beat people making good decisions. He's one of the better players in the country. And it's important for us to play as a team against him.
What is it that Louisville does schematically to kind of put him in a position to be as successful as possible?
No, I think number one, he's that dynamic mover and athlete. So I think there's a lot of offenses that would fit his skill set. I think, like traditionally, they've been a really good running football team. They run the stretch as well as anybody. And if you run the ball, it sets up other things, whether it's him pulling the ball and going the other way, whether it's routes coming back against the grain, whether it's misdirection plays off of run action. When you can set up things off of your major play, which they do, it creates misdirection plays. And they've done a nice job of creating big plays over the years with that offense.
Beyond Cunningham, what else about the offense stands out to you?
Yeah, I think they've really established themselves. I think at running back, I think they've got three guys that can all play. The guy that played a lot last year is probably third on the team in carries or fourth, if you include the quarterback. So I think they've really improved that room. They've worked to really make that a strong point. Their tight end is one of the better route runner catchers in the league, and anytime he can be a lead blocker and then run routes, I think that's always something. And they've really added to their wide receiver room from the outside, and you see that. And their offensive line, is a veteran group. They got two All-ACC players up front, and it's a seasoned offense. They know exactly what they're doing. They've been doing the same scheme for a while, so they feel comfortable in it. And it starts with the trigger man.
So a couple of the DBs we talked to last week said that late in that game they might have had some communication issues that might have led to some of the completions they gave up.
Talking about our game?
Yeah.
There was one. The bigger play before the last play was just, they decided to chip a defensive end, which usually in that situation you don't do very much. And so once that happened, we were in man coverage underneath with guys over the top, and there were no routes, and that route just kind of released late, and the guy's eyes got put somewhere else. And if it wasn't for that route, we're never in that situation. But that was something we got to learn from, and just a guy trying to probably do a little bit too much in that scenario.
And then just playing those late game situations, is there a learned behavior to closing teams out? Is that something that's a learned behavior, or is it the same as any other point in the game in terms of you got to lead, you got to try to finish the game?
Yeah, well, I think there is, there's a time in a game when you're up in a game and you're trying to, and we have names for this, in the 2-minute mode of letting them know what the type of situation is, whether they can be aggressive on the route or whether they're softer for double moves or if the team needs more chunk yardage. So we practice that, and we put them in situations, but it's another thing to execute, especially on good players. So listen, that last team had some really good perimeter players, and the quarterback's a good player, and so whatever your job is, you're still thinking, well, what if this happens? And you really want people to just lock in and focus on, the ability to, do their job at that moment.
What did you like from the LSU performance collectively?
I thought we played connected for the most part. I thought, coverage was where it needed to be for most of the game. I thought we developed some pressure. I thought, some of the pressure things that we did were things that got executed well. And I think that was important. We showed them some different looks, and we were able to execute that. But that's stuff you work on. That's not something we put in for that game, just stuff that we have pre-planned to put out in game 2.
You knew the talent with Jared. Have you been impressed with how quickly that's kind of translated to handling the big moments as well as he has?
Not really. I knew what our job is to evaluate players and then see what the skill set's going to look like in our scheme and in our football program. And whether it was his personality, whether it was his skill set, whether it was just his mindset, we knew he was going to be a really good fit here. And the way we play at that position, fits to everything he's about. And so he's gone out there and he's made a lot of strides. And there's still a lot of things in his game that he can clean up, but he's the player that we thought he'd be, and I think there's a lot left there too.
Week off, you think beneficial for Duke to get back to his kind of?
I think so. He went out there and gave us his best. And you didn't notice him a bunch, but when you did, that's part of playing corner. And so hopefully this time get him a little bit healthier, get him up to full speed.
Dennis Briggs, is he a guy that is he also kind of working back on the game shape? But obviously with the season-ending injuries, he might start slow this season. You guys think he'll pick it up
A little bit, I think he's probably averaging about 35 snaps. We'd like to get him a little bit higher than that, but we're going to play the guys that are fresh and the guys that are playing the best. But we have high expectations for Dennis.
How has Jarrett Jackson performed so far early in the season? And I guess can you go back to when he first got here, when you guys first got to work with him? What areas he's grown in over that time?
Yeah, I think his ability to push through things have gotten really better. I think that's a development thing in the weight room for the amount of practice time he's put in with us. And he's as skilled from a size, strength, and speed and movement as anybody we have. It's just the consistency of playing with the right pad level for him, and doing it again and again and again. He's been somebody that's gone in for 4 or 5 plays and we've gotten him back out. So when it's needed and he's in there for 6, 7, 8 plays over a 2-series span, that's when we really need for him to grow, and I think he's capable of doing that.
Good time for 2 more. I know they got a new OC, but the fact that they've had to play a conference game and then a nationally televised Friday night game, do you have a pretty good sense of what they're going to be Friday night?
I mean, we do. Coach Satterfield's been running offenses, for a long time in college football. So, you see his fingerprints all over this thing, and so I think we've got a pretty good sense of who they are, identity-wise.
Some of the situations where you guys were kind of a little soft on the back end.
Talking about the last drive?
Yeah. You still have Rob Cooper still with you. Is that should it be all defensive ends or
Yeah, some. We've got a rabbits package that goes in, but there were a couple drives there at the end of the game that you're trying to make the decision of your personnel and who's fresh, and you're trying to roll that. You just got to be mindful that in those situations when you do make those decisions, that it's hard to get them off the field too. You need a dead ball. You need something like that, an incomplete pass for us to be able to sub. So, listen, you always plan. Sometimes things happen. You're able to rotate guys a little bit differently. But like I said, we just executed on that second to last play of the game. There's not a last play. So we got to be better in all areas there.